Hi, this is Marie Steffenson. Thanks for joining me in the little corner of my studio, and I look forward to seeing what you're working on. We are exploring palettes and just going through the process of them and the philosophy of them. In the previous video, we just covered the Robert E. Wood plastic palette, some of the flowers that I've used previously, and my current figure drawing watercolor palette. I would like to share with you the palette for Daniel Smith that was gifted to me. Wow, what a beautiful tool. And I have used it thoroughly. It has gone to Africa and back with me, and it goes on the bus with me all the time. It's being well loved, well loved. All right, and inside the watercolor palette, what we have here is, let's turn it here. This is how I sit with it in my hand. And you will find that having everything laid out in a predictable way saves you time and mental strain so that your focus can be on creating artwork rather than where's that color? All right, so what I've learned recently, and by recently I mean the last 8 years, is that having the mother in the watercolor palette, and what I mean by mother is a mix of the colors together. Having the mother in the watercolor palette helps all of the painting and the color mature. And when you are working with a dry set of paint, right? I prefer working straight from liquid, but in plain air, that's a lot harder to be bringing the tubes of color. It makes a lot more sense for convenience to have the dry half pans already prepared. So a lot of these half pans I've set in myself. I've taken out a lot of the original colors and put in the colors that I want to be using. I love that they added a nice selection of colors to work with in the original palette, because then I was able to explore Shadow Violet and Moonglow and a lot of the other popular colors that I would not have otherwise explored. Okay, so how I have this set up is you can see here that I have Soda Light having two wells, because I'm realizing this is the one that I am going through so fast. I am using Soda Light so fast because it is, originally I bought the color to paint the Midwest skies right before the tornado. How that sky is just smoky and moving and tumultuous. That's why I originally bought the color Soda Light Genuine. But now I'm finding I like it in portraits, I like it in landscapes, I like it in everything that I do at this time. So I've been going through it so fast. So what I've done is I've actually put two of that color in here. I have two Garnet Genuines and I have two Sleeping Beauties Genuines. Oh, and two Nickel Azos. So also, as I set up the palette, so what I observed is, okay, this is the triad of the master triad that I'm working with. A blue, a red, a yellow, and then the others within it. And then what I also have is the mother that I've mixed otherwise. So this is mother going in the greenish direction. This is mother going in the bluish direction. And over here, I have mother going in the reddish direction. So note, okay. And then this one is the mother in the yellow direction. That's Monte Amiata and Goethite together. So what you can note is technically when you mix the mother and it goes in the green direction, that is in fact a mixed color that is dominantly yellow, but yellow gets corrupted or mixed so quickly that it turns to green and olive green quickly. So that's why I have both the greenish mother and the yellow earth tone mother. All right, as I've laid out this palette, and I've been using this palette for the last several years, what I'm observing with my colors is that Sleeping Beauty Genuine is absolutely one of my favorite colors. However, it is really struggling as a dry pigment. This one, it's been in here longer than some of the others. It doesn't get used up as fast. So what I'm learning to do is actually activate this one sooner than when I need to use it. If I know that I'm going to be doing painting with it in Daniel Smith Live every Thursday or Friday, I will actually earlier in that day go ahead and start moistening it so that it can start absorbing the moisture. what that also tells me is the gemstone, well, the gemstone needs more friction to be activated. It just takes more time and effort. So don't use your very good brushes to pick up that pigment or scrub that pigment to get more of it. It just, you're literally working with a gemstone, a semi-precious stone, Sleeping Beauty Genuine, and it's having a hard time, this one's having a hard time reactivating. Other ones such as phthalo blue, transparent yellow, Nicolazo yellow, and rich green gold are super easy in reactivating and being accessible to the paintbrush. So that's just how I work around. Each pigment has its own unique characteristics and behavior. And that's what I like about watercolor, as opposed to the wax medium that the name is eluding me at the moment, acrylic, oil. The binder, that's going to be bothering me that I can't remember the medium for the wax. Encaustic. The binder in the other mediums becomes the dominant characteristic and hides the unique behavior that each pigment has. And we don't have that in watercolor. The binder does not dominate the experience. The pigments themselves have the freedom to have their own personalities. I love it. I love it. All right, I've also experienced the hard behavior with the lapis lazuli genuine. So again, this is one that I will just put a deep well of water in and give it time to activate, which is fine. That works well. So once again, when I lay out the palette, I find I choose more variety of yellows than any other color because yellow has the highest value. Like if you were to photograph it in black and white and put it on a grayscale, yellow is lightest. So what I find is I try to keep it protected against the blues and the greens so that it doesn't get corrupted to yellow easily, because even in the pan they can get corrupted quickly. I'm very careful with my phthalo blue, which I did all of the Inktober with last year because it is an exploding, dominating color. So you can actually see in my palette, I have a smaller volume of paint in there because I don't want it to hijack the experience of all the others. So I have the palette set up with yellows and the lightest value on the far right, blues going from lightest value going up to darkest value to the far left-hand side, and then my earth yellows coming here. So again, yellows are on the far right, so they're contaminated less by cross-touching the paints. Going up from my earth yellows, so my transparent, to my orangish reds, and then going to my bluish reds, again transparents, and then increasing in the value range again towards burnt umber. I've rearranged this palette probably 3 times, and I've just recently rearranged it in the last maybe 6 months, and I'm a lot more happy with how this is. Because this time I added the mother mixes. Alrighty, this is where I mix the pigments, and again, look at this. You don't ever have to throw away the paint. You can keep using it over and over and over for decades. See this one? Alrighty. This is my travel watercolor palette that has my dot card colors in it that are both granulating and transparent. And the palette is from Daniel Smith, and I appreciate it very much. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any questions about the colors that I've chosen. Wishing you all joy in your watercolor journey. Thanks.